Everybody, we're going to get started with our string art. Let me show you what you're going to need in case you did not pick up a packet from the children's desk or you're watching this much later. You're going to need cardstock, a stencil, which is optional but is included in your kit, a thick blunt needle. Blunt means it's not too pointy. If you see it's not hurting me at all. You want it to be nice and thick and sturdy, but you don't want it to be so pointy that it's going to hurt you. And some yarn or embroidery floss. I'm using embroidery floss, and that's what you should have gotten in your kit. It's all different colors. It's pretty thick, definitely thicker than string, but thinner than yarn. It really depends on what you want it to look like and what's available to you. I'm able to get floss at Michael's for pretty cheap. I think it's less than $1 or pretty close to $1, if not less than that. So hopefully if you're watching this later, you're able to get the floss because they have a lot of cool different colors that you can try out. A pencil and some scissors. So if you're doing this from the library kit, first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your cardstock. You should have gotten a whole piece of paper. You're going to fold it in half so that the card is down here. And then you're going to take your heart stencil. Oops, this is the wrong one. This is a much smaller one. Aha, this is a larger one. And you're just going to trace around it. You're going to want to use pencil and try not to use thick or harsh or too dark lines. So don't press too hard. You just kind of want it to be light and easy to erase later. So you see there, comes up. You also don't have to stencil anything. Even if you got the kit from Children's and you got the heart stencil, you can just use whatever you'd like. Honestly, it's really whatever you want it to be. But since these are string art Valentine's Day cards, I figured the heart would be the best and the nicest one. So now you're going to take your needle, which I have already threaded, but you don't need to thread for this part. And you're going to poke holes every few centimeters all the way around like that. Now, since you're doing it as a card, you want to make sure that you don't go all the way through to this side. So I would recommend kind of holding it up a little bit while you poke the holes. I like to start kind of at this end here. It's a nice point. And there's no specific measurements, just like every little bit. You don't want it to be too far apart. Like this, for example, would be too far. It's not going to look as good. And I can't show you because I don't want to mess it up. But if you do it too close, you run the risk of the thread pulling the holes kind of open towards each other, and then they merge into kind of one big hole, which you also want to avoid. The cardstock is pretty thick and should help avoid that. If you were using regular paper, then most definitely you'd want to go very, very gentle because the paper will tear. But even with the cardstock, or if you're at home and you're using cardboard or something like that, you still want to make sure that you're not going too close together so that they don't end up running into each other, basically. You're going to follow the shape all around. Alright, so now we have our cool little poked heart card part. And now we're going to thread our needle, which I already did. So basically it's just take the thread, the floss, and poke it through the eye of the needle. Just pull it through. And you want to leave a long-ish tail. It's not super necessary, but I have found that it's very difficult for me. If I leave a short tail, it keeps getting pulled out and I have to rethread it, which gets super annoying. So you always want to make sure to have that ready to go. The last thing you're going to do is you're going to poke a hole right down the center. One hole is fine. Just make sure it's roughly centered. It doesn't need to be perfect either. Okay. So now, from the underside of the card, the inside here, you're going to pull your needle. You're going to pull it up. And you're going to pull. So you keep pulling till you get almost at the end. And you can see I already tied a little knot here, but we're just going to tie another little knot. And we're going to cut that little piece of string off at the end too, but you just make a little knot nice and thick so that when you pull, it just stays there. Then later we can cut these little threads off. We can do it now if you'd like. You don't actually have to either if you don't want to, but I'm doing it just because I think it'll look a little neater. There we go. So now it should be nice and sturdy. All right, and so now you have to repeat that process for the whole thing. So now you're going to go from the center up to any one of them. It's probably best if you start up at the top and then you move clockwise. So clockwise is this way. You go through and you pull the whole thing through slowly and carefully. Not getting tangled on your pencil like I am. Let's move the pencil out of the way and the scissors. Alright, so once you have that, you go from the back down through the center hole again. And throughout, the center hole is going to get a little bigger just as you keep poking holes in it. It's fine. So you're going to come up through the center and pull again. All right, now you got it all. Now you're going to go to the next hole. Again, we're going clockwise. So you pull back through the center and up again. All right, and last one. See, it gets a little harder once you are at the end because it gets thicker, but you're all done. Okay, and pull. All right, so now that you're all done here, you want to make sure it's tight. You want to bring it back down through. You're going to tie a little knot, so I'm going to just cut off a chunk here. Tie a little knot. And what you want to do is you want to hold the knot while you pull so that the knot doesn't end up here. You want it to be down as close to the base as possible. There. You just cut off the little tail. The nice thing is the knot kind of goes and blends in with the rest of it. And now you have a card all ready to go, string art. The nice thing about this is that the back also looks really cool. One last thing that you probably want to do is just kind of get in with a pencil and erase, or get in with an eraser and erase all the pencil marks. Alright, and that is all done. See, now that the lines are erased, it looks even cooler. Your card will be white on the inside, so you're ready to draw, write, decorate, do whatever you'd like with it. Or if you don't want it as a card, you can just cut this end off and then just use this and kind of frame this or hang it up. It looks really cool on its own. So thank you guys for joining me on this month's tween scene, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!